Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in the position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
The Go Hour returns. Olin Buchanan, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that everyone missed. He's back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and thank goodness, once again, it's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin Buchanan, how are you? Welcome back.
It's good to be back.
A little burnt.
A little burnt. A lot burnt, actually. I fell asleep on the beach down on South Padre for a little while, and that's all it takes. You know, when you're Caucasian, when you're a pasty old Caucasian white guy, and then you get on the beach for the first time all summer, it's like putting, biscuit dough in the oven.
Yeah.
Except, and it's like keeping it in there. So I kind of feel like Richard Pryor, if for the older people that remember that, man, I got burned bad.
Yeah.
So, man, it hurts just to sleep at night.
Was a young, pasty white Caucasian. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's.
I didn't know if it gets worse when you get older because you have so much more fat. So you have more skin. Maybe if a thin guy like you, maybe it's more compact and maybe it handles it. But I don't know.
Maybe I used to be like totally just never put on any sunscreen ever at the beach or just at the pool or anything. But a few times I've just gotten absolutely toasted. So I was like, I'll just.
Well, my wife was, she put sunscreen on me and going out into
the women have like 50 different things.
Right. I got into the Gulf of America, and it gets washed off, and I don't put it back on, and she'll say stuff like, "No, you got to put this back." I'm like, I've been sunburned before.
Yeah,
but I don't think I've ever been sunburned like this before.
Yeah. Well. We're happy to have you back.
I'm good to be back.
Yep. Nick Savage here filling in for David Nuno. Bronny will be back in the host chair tomorrow. Then we'll have Luke and Matthew host the show on Thursday, and Bronny once again on Friday. And then after that, it's SEC Media Days. We're headed to Atlanta, Georgia next week. And there's not too much to preview about it. We'll hear from A&M on Thursday. It's the best part about these media days, OB, is getting to hang out with you and David and go to our nice dinners and whatnot. And we don't really see each other much during the day because we're in two different areas of the venue. But it's nice to hang out with the crew afterwards after a long day of work.
Well, I always say it's the 4 longest days of the year for me.
I would agree.
And and unfortunately, A&M's going on the last day.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the first day, it'd be a lot easier because then you get all your A&M content for the whole week.
Yeah.
Now I got to come up with content that A&M TexAgs readers might be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Do I write something about Arch on Texas Day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do I write something about LSU? I got to write something about maybe teams that A&M doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So it makes it difficult, but hey, that's why we get paid
absolutely
the moderate bucks.
Yeah, and I know it's at the College Football Hall of Fame, so I'm kind of excited to see that. That's never,
a lot of helmets.
Yeah,
a lot of helmets.
Excited to see lots of helmets. Typically, we're over in the holistic planning cool zone to kick things off.
By the way, take something warm to wear.
That's what. Yeah, you and Richard have told me that it's cold in that place. So I will do that. But typically we're hanging out over in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, but not today. We're chilling at the desk over at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We have Ava Davis behind the glass. We have Cade Bickham directing the show today. I'm throwing y'all all off. I don't know who I want to hear from first. Let's hear from Cade Bickham first, who doesn't even have his mic ready. Mr. Bickham, how are you this morning? Thank you for doing my job.
Yeah, I'm doing good this morning. And, it's always a pleasure to do your job when you're in the host chair. I think, we play off each other nicely here because we both know what needs to go down back here.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
Yeah, there you go. Ava Davis over at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. How are you this morning? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. You're a vlogger this morning, right? I haven't seen you take any videos yet.
No, I'm kind of nervous, but I'm doing it for my, I don't know if OP knows, I'm doing it for my...
Mike.
I think you need to turn your mic on. There's a switch. It's okay.
Sorry.
There you are.
That's embarrassing.
Go ahead. You're a blogger. Continue.
Yes, I'm doing a story takeover for my sorority at Tarleton, Alpha Gam. So I'm showing them what it's like the morning as a TexAgs intern.
Did you include all of Olin's Richard Pryor jokes pre-show?
She doesn't even know who Richard Pryor was.
I really don't, honestly, but
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
it's okay.
OB respects me because I get a lot of the callbacks from. I was raised right. My dad and my mother did a good job of culturing me.
That's where we are now. That knowing the work of Richard Pryor means you were raised right. Whereas when I was a kid, I mean, you were probably raised right.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if that's a good point. But Ava, before we over here at the desk get into some of our topics, I'll let you kind of set the stage. I know Aggie baseball got a commitment. Mike Elko's on the watch list for a few awards, so take it away.
He's burning it up like me.
Yeah. Anyway, so Texas A&M's head football coach Mike Elko has been named to the Dodd Trophy preseason watch list. His first season at Aggieland featured two significant major moments as two top wins at Kyle Field versus number 9 Missouri and number 8 LSU. The Dodd Trophy is college football's most coveted national coaching award ever, and so this watch list basically covers the program's academic progress rate, graduation success rate, and the commitment to service and charity in the community, as well as the projected success for the 2025 season. A mid-season watch list will be released in the fall, while the final list will be announced at the end of the 2025 season.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about Maddox Lotta.
So Texas A&M baseball announced yesterday that they got the addition of Maddox Lotta to the baseball team. He's a great get for early, but is, as Bronny says, a risk for the MLB draft. Mm-hmm. He finished the season with California State Fullerton with a 362 average, 37 walks, 31 strikeouts. He slashed 362, 486, 503, with 20 extra bases hit and 14 stolen bases. He played and started 53 games out of 56 during the 2025 season and finished the year with a team high 362 batting, ranking 4th in the Big West.
Awesome. Thank you, Ava. That MLB draft's going to be
362 hitters just don't,
pop
they're
up.
uncommon, right?
Yeah.
So if you can land him, obviously that'd be a big boost to the offense.
That MLB draft's going to be stressful for.
When is that?
That is Sunday. Starts Sunday, but I think it goes into a few days afterwards. But like she mentioned, Lotta is going to be a draft risk, but if he comes back, he's most likely an infielder, I would imagine. I don't know. This is Bronny's territory. This is just me spitballing here, but probably a middle infielder. So will be interesting to get his take tomorrow. We'll let Bronny dive a little bit more into it. But Olin,
a lot of hits.
Oh, make the shirt. Recruiting hot streak continued while you were away. And something that you always bring up whenever we talk about recruits that I do the same thing as you. You always want to know who did they pick A&M, and they picked A&M over these schools, right? So Bryce Perry Wright, defensive end out of Georgia, 5-star on some outlets. He chose A&M over Clemson, Miami, and Texas.
All right.
And then Tank King, who committed on July 4th, he picked A&M over Michigan.
He's from Bronny's neck of the woods, right?
Yep, correct. So
Michigan wanted him.
Michigan wanted him, Texas wanted him, Notre Dame wanted him. Texas wanted both.
Yeah, well, that makes it even better. Yeah, it's amazing the streak that they're on. Now, again, that means you got this big old tarpon on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to get him in the boat, but you can't get him in the boat unless you get him on the line. So hopefully they can finish the job, you know. And I have to admit, I still get excited about the landing or getting the big commitments and hopefully the big signings for these highly rated guys, even though it's been proven over and over that sometimes the better players are the lower rated guys. I mean, they still got, but, I always have this analogy is being a millionaire doesn't mean you're going to marry a supermodel, but it increases your chances. So getting the
4 and 5
4 and
stars.
5-star guys doesn't mean you're going to win championships, but it increases your chances.
So this takes me into a topic that I've seen kind of discussed on Twitter, which isn't the best place to go for, good debate sometimes. But So yesterday with Bronny hosting the show, he just mentioned that this year and 2022 are some of the best recruiting runs he's seen, right? And
right.
We put out a graphic on TexAgs Live Twitter after he said that, and it's gotten quite a bit of run. It's got a lot of impressions and a lot of people in the replies, kind of 2022, that class.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to that class? So I kind of want to transition that into like, what, are you in the I need to wait and see these kids crowd, or you've already kind of answered it, but you can get, to me, you can get excited for stuff like
right.
this.
Right. You can get excited that, look, here's the deal. If let's say you like Italian food. Do you like Italian food?
I do.
All right.
I do.
If someone brings home the pasta, maybe the lasagna and the ricotta cheese and the oregano and the tomato sauce and all the ingredients, and yours like and high quality, the best olive oil, the best of everything, and everything's there. Man, you have the makings of a great meal. What you can't do is have some half-baked chef come in there and screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what happened. And now, also what happened is, some of those tomatoes they brought in, a little bit, they're a little rotten.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe should have looked at them a little bit closer.
Yep.
And I think, at least I get the feeling, I could be dead wrong on this, but I get the feeling that Elko and his staff is looking at the ingredients a little closer.
Yeah.
There are some guys that were in that class in 2022 that were so highly rated that maybe, on second thought, it didn't matter how highly rated. Maybe if you had to do over again, even if they'd been somewhat successful, you might not. There's I'm not going to mention the names, but there was a certain receiver or two out there maybe you would have thought twice about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a certain cornerback you would have thought twice about. But maybe even a certain or a couple of defensive linemen. You might have thought, yeah, they've got great ability, but are they willing to put it all out there and play hard all the time? So I think it's okay to still get excited and celebrate the commitments and then hopefully the signees, and then, but once you get them, and you can, it's okay to project and wonder and hope, but then it's up to them and their coaches to turn them into players.
And that's my biggest thing. The difference between 22 and now is I trust Elko and the coaching staff he has over there to develop the players a little bit more than I did with the staff Jimbo had here. Is that fair to say?
Well,
would you agree?
At first, yeah, because the staff changed, and I think that Jimbo, and I've said this before, I think Jimbo got very lazy with his coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, of course, I'm not out there at practice, but we've all heard stories. I think they coddled some guys too much.
Mm-hmm.
And, quite frankly, I don't care how many stars you have to your name. if you're not going to go out there and play hard, then put in the guy that will.
Yep. Absolutely. We'll hit a break here. On the other side, Pro Football Focus College put out a top 50 players list for the 2025 season. There are a few Aggie representatives on it, and a lot of guys that A&M will be facing in this upcoming season. So we'll go down that list and just see if we agree with where they're at or if they should be on the list or whatnot. So make sure you keep it right here on TexAgs Live. The Go Hour will continue on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Jewelers.
Hey everyone, David Nuno and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically, we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money that from your investments and they keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned, but they also do something else.
Yeah. Well, if you are like say a sports fan and you've always wanted to,
everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to. Always dreamed of being an owner? Well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And OB, let's take a look at the Pro Football Focus College 50. It's their 50 best players in college football ahead of the 2025 season.
Pro Football Focus. I wonder if they're going to have a little bit more reasonable. I wonder what they're going to base it on.
We're not going to go through every single player, but we'll stop, pick, and choose here when we get to players A&M will face. We'll give the top 5 here.
Okay.
Number 1, wide receiver Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State.
No problem with that.
Number 2, Caleb Downs out of Ohio State.
Cornerback.
3.
For safety. Another wide receiver?
No. Peter Woods, Clemson. He's defensive end.
Okay.
Number 4.
Another wide receiver?
No. Running back. We'll face A&M. Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
Number 5 is a tackle. It's Spencer Fano out of Utah. Excuse me.
Okay.
Number 6 because
another
he's
wide receiver.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm waiting for that Alabama receiver.
He's a cornerback for Notre Dame. Leonard Moore.
He's the guy that came in. Is he not halfway through the season when I guess it was Morrison got hurt? And I think he's from Round Rock, Texas, and played really well.
Yep. Number 7, quarterback, Cade Klubnik. First quarterback on this list.
Okay, number 7. Gosh, that's I like Cade Klubnik. I liked watching him when he was at Westlake. I thought he was really good. I remember the first time I heard about him, and I heard the Aggies were interested in that he wanted to come to A&M. And I was like, man, grab that guy. Well, then we started hearing about Wigman, and nobody's going to take 2 quarterbacks anymore because I'll just say this: the progress that this kid has made is amazing because they were trying to run him out of Clemson.
Yeah.
The Clemson fans for a while.
They kind of talk about it here. They say, after placing 102nd among FBS signal callers in 2023 with a 63.9 PFF passing grade, which is their own metric, he ranked 5th in 2024, and then only Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders threw more touchdowns last year. He threw 36. So
I'll say this, just the fact that he's that highly regarded is another reason to feel somewhat optimistic about Marcel Reed. How many times have we said it? Every quarterback will tell you from my first year as a starter to my second, the difference was gigantic. And it was for Cade Klubnik, who was, quite frankly, really average. And that might be being nice. His first year as a starter.
Yeah.
And look at him now. So, maybe, that's pretty commonplace. Not to go from struggling as a freshman or when he was a starter to being called the number 7 player in the league. That's not common, but just making significant strides forward and improvement is. So,
number 8, another guy A&M will face, Colin Simmons, edge rusher for Texas.
Is number 8 too high? Maybe, but the kid came in as a freshman and he was a pass rushing machine. So I can't really argue that. I quite frankly, though, I think Texas has another player better.
Anthony Hill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was he 9?
No, he's not. Number 9 is another guy A&M will face, Dylan Stewart, South Carolina edge rusher.
Okay.
Okay, then let's start skipping ahead. So number 10 was another Clemson player. Number 11 is center for Florida, Jake Slaughter. And
I hear a lot of great things about him. Yeah.
Here's your guy, number 12, wide receiver out of Alabama.
Ryan Williams?
Ryan Williams.
Yeah. Man, that's hard for me to put a big difference between Ryan Williams and Jeremiah.
He, as a true freshman, 170 receiving yards after contact is something that Pro Football Focus values. 8 receiving touchdowns as well for him. So he was a lot of fun to watch.
He's pretty nasty.
Especially that Georgia game. That was a lot of fun to watch as well.
Yeah, when it looked like Georgia had it, and then he just goes out and takes it away.
Number 14, linebacker Anthony Hill Jr.
Yeah.
There's your guy.
Yeah, he should be an Aggie. Jimbo and his recruiting staff really botched that one. Otherwise, he'd be here, I think.
So we're through 14 out of 50. We haven't gotten to an Aggie yet. How many A&M players do you think are on this list? I should have probably started with that.
Top 50, I could see, I'm not saying this is how many be on there. I could see as many as 4.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably guess with them maybe 2.
Okay.
They probably have an offensive lineman. It'll be either probably flip a coin between Zune or Reed Adams, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And then it might turn out to be Basantes, but I think it could be one of those 2. And then maybe either Le'Veon Moss or Cassius Howell.
Okay. Here's our first Aggie. Number 16, Armaj Reed Adams, guard out of Texas A&M.
Okay, so that's the one they're going to pick.
And they say he's a powerful player at 6'5", 330 pounds, who can excel in any run blocking scheme. Reed Adams led all Power 4 guards in gap PFF run blocking grades. So they value their metrics pretty high, but I mean we've seen it.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's really good.
He's good.
I figured he'd be in the top 50. I'm a little surprised that they have him that high.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just surprised that interior linemen often get lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad they found him.
Number 17, the second quarterback, but A&M's not going to face him. I'm just highlighting him. Sam Levitt out of Arizona State.
Okay, he may well be. I mean, he looked really good last year. Let's see how good he is without Scattaboo drawing attention.
Yeah. Number 19, A&M doesn't play him, but we know him. Tight end Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt.
Man, I love that he's having success like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know A&M wanted him to play some tight end, and maybe he wasn't quite ready to do that. But what a story! And he's, from everything I know and have read about him, just such a great guy. And I hope he is, and I hope he has success and gets drafted, has a long NFL career, because he's one of those easy guys to root for.
Number 21's kind of crazy to me. Quarterback Carson Beck out of Miami.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't need. I'm not.
Now, I think he can look like he is if you put enough, high caliber talent around him. I'm not saying he's a bad player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, 21st best player in the country. I would. I think he's probably better than Tyler Van Dyke, who I never thought a lot of, or I thought was overhyped, I guess I should say.
Yep.
But I think Carson Beck's a little overhyped as well.
Number 23, first SEC quarterback we have on this list, Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah. Well, I can understand it. In fact, Garrett Nussmeier's the type of guy that if he could throw a few more incompletions and not interceptions, then he's a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Absolutely.
But he does have a tendency to, especially under pressure, and a lot of quarterbacks do under pressure, but to make some bad decisions, and we're here for it.
Yep. Number 26, safety Michael Taff out of Texas.
Okay, is he the former walk-on they're always talking about? I think he is.
So. Yeah.
Seems like he, one of those guys just makes plays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know that I would rate him that highly, but I do respect his game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about the 26th best player in the country. Okay. All right, if you say so.
This next Aggie, number 29, linebacker Torian York. And PFF has been really high on Torian York all offseason.
Okay.
They have him projected super early, I know, but they have him projected as one of the top linebackers in the draft.
I hope they're right.
Yeah.
Because, that's one area I think A&M needs to be better. And, hopefully Torian, he's a junior, and I expect you to get better every year. Usually you level off. I think a lot of times you hit your peak as a junior. Not always, and then you maintain that as a senior if you stay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's fair to expect the very best Torian York we've seen all year. Or, not all year. We've ever seen here this year. And I hope they're right. I hope he's, what is that? You say 26?
29.
29th? I hope he's the 29th best player in the country. Hopefully even better than that.
And they say his 122 plays with first contact on ball carriers are tied for 4th in the Power 4. York has a stocky build, 6 feet and 235 pounds, and he is an excellent tackler. So that's why they have him rated at 29. Number 30 is an edge rusher, Keldrick Falk out of Auburn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good one. About 8 or 9 sacks last year.
I'll stop here. 34, edge LT Overton out of Alabama.
Okay. What did he do last year?
last year. He had an 18% pass rush win rate, top 30 mark in the country, 81.7 PFF run defense grade, which had him 25th. And again, that's not the traditional stats we're looking at, but that's what PFF College is valuing here. And that's why they have him as the 34th best player in the country.
Interesting. Now, he was part of that A&M
22 class.
22 class, and I thought he was misused, especially on. I mean, when what's his name? Smirkin, DJ Smirkin, decided to put him at linebacker. I thought that was a mistake.
I got his numbers right here for you.
Yeah,
42 total tackles, 1 pass defense, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble.
So as a junior, he went and got 2 sacks, and now he's the 34th best player in the country. All right,
35.
Seemed like a nice little interaction, and it was minimal, but he seemed like a good kid. So hope he does all right.
35 edge Tyreek Sapp out of Florida. Aggies will see him. Number 40 Bama player. So we'll keep going. KJ Bolden is at 42, safety out of Georgia. Won't see him. Next player, A&M will face linebacker Whit Weeks out of LSU. He's number 44 on this list.
Okay, Whit Weeks. Let's see, there's no Harold Perkins there.
No. Number 46, Malik Muhammad, cornerback, Texas.
Okay, so Texas, what are they saying? 4 players on their defense?
Oh, we're not done
50?
yet. Got one more at 50. Quarterback, Arch Manning.
Okay, but 4 from defense.
Yeah.
And then quarterback. See, Arch Manning might be number 1 at the end of the year. He might be. He might not even be on the list at the number. I've seen Arch Manning play and do some things really well, and I've seen him he went in and played against Georgia, and he wasn't very good. He played against ULM, and he was average against ULM. But he came in certain packages, and A&M one of them, and he scores a touchdown. So I don't know what to make of Arch, and I think the people that are ranking him really high right now, I know they're projecting, but I don't even know if that's fair to Arch. But, hey, your last name's Manning. I'll say this for him. I don't necessarily wish him any ill will or failure. I hope his team fails, especially when they play A&M. But everything about him has been impressive with the way he's carried himself. I mean, look, we're the place where 2 5-star quarterbacks left in the same week.
Yeah. Because,
they're all mad. If I'm not playing this and if you're not going to play it, then and here's a guy that is as hyped up as any that's ever gone anywhere. And he sits for 2 years and accepts it and doesn't make a big. And if anybody could have gone out on the market,
it could have been him
during this time, because these guys left A&M, and we've had others besides that left A&M, and they weren't even able to go into a transfer portal or put themselves up for bidding.
They had to sit.
And I mean, how much money could have? And I know the Mannings don't need it, but if Arch wanted to have gone into the portal like the guy at Tennessee did, Arch might have gotten the $4 million that the guy from Tennessee. I'm leaving on a jet plane, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like his team, but I have to look at that and say, you know what, I'm impressed with that the guy's willing to wait his turn. So I'm impressed with the guy, and I'd be fine if he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game, and they still lost. But I'm not going to root for him or for the Longhorns, but I'm definitely not going to root against him.
Absolutely. So 2 Aggies land on the list. Marjorie Adams at 16, Torian York at 29. I believe 5 Longhorns.
And I want is that the most? Or you said Alabama a lot too.
Yeah, so. Alabama, Ohio State, and Texas was well represented on.
Well, I remember you said Jeremiah Williams, and
Ryan Williams,
Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, you're talking, okay, yeah.
See, I'm getting all my good receivers mixed up.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
From Ohio State. I'm sure there were other guys. I just don't remember them, but I remember you mentioned those two.
We got to hit a break here, OB, on the other side. Who knows what we'll get into? We'll figure it out on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Schulers.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuno here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
Welcome back in. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Garner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's a Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno. Olin Buchanan here with me as always. And OB, while you were on vacation, 5-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo. He committed to Texas Tech, right? He's a big deal.
Yeah.
Big get for them. It was then put out there by his agent that he signed reportedly signed a 3-year, $5.1 fully guaranteed deal. And I'm bringing this up, and it was also said one of the largest guaranteed deals, thought to be one of the largest guaranteed deals in college football history. So I bring it up just to ask you, like, do you like to hear about the deals signed? Would you rather that be kept behind the scenes? Do you think that's going to get more and more common where it's kind of like NFL free agency where we're going to get, this player signs this deal?
Well, supposedly they're trying to stop that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how you can. Look, to me, that goes to the old saying. I don't remember who coined it, but don't hate the player, hate the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be mad that this is happening and that college football got to this, but I look at it as Texas Tech, well done. I mean, it may blow up in your face, but they looked at it and said, hey, here's a great player. And, who else wanted him, thought they had him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he said, so, we're just going to go down there and snatch this kid up.
Mm-hmm.
And every program needs a Cody Campbell.
Yep.
And Cody Campbell, if you don't know, he's the billionaire oil and gas guy that played football at Texas Tech, and now's their sugar daddy. I guess he's the guy that came up with the $1 million for the softball pitcher, and they went to the College World Series and almost won it, right?
Yeah.
So I say, well done, Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, this kid's got to play like a $5 million player.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't, it blows up in your face, and okay, but you know what? If I had that kind of money, I'd probably have signed somebody that I think if I had that money, I thought this guy could make A&M a championship team. This is a missing piece. I would put it in there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that receiver from DeSoto that decided Booby Feaster.
Yeah, Booby Feaster.
I might have come up with that money to give him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think something's kind of messed up with college sports, obviously, but good job, Texas Tech. You found a player that you feel like you got to have for whatever reason, and they went and got him.
Yeah.
By the way, I like the idea that more people, and I've said this before, more people, players, that money is getting distributed to more people. I think the more, quote, millionaires we have in our society, the better our society will be.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of having 100 millionaires more than like 10 guys, 10 billionaires.
Mm-hmm. But on the football side of it, what I would be worried.
Mathematics is way off on that, but you know what
I'm not going to be the one to fact check you. I promise you that. But
where's Matthew?
Yeah, I was about to say, good thing he's not here. He would be in here chirping us. But my worry would be if I was a Texas Tech fan is what's that going to do in the next transfer portal window? When this kid gets here and your entire offensive line comes in and says, well, I've been starting for you for X amount. He's getting this. See ya. I'm gone. So that would be my one worry.
That is one of the things that could blow up in your face.
Yep.
Unless you have a sugar daddy billionaire to say, okay, what do you want? Now, I guess this was done and agreed to before the
house settlement or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Or before before July 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because then wouldn't
has to go through the clearinghouse.
The clearinghouse. Wouldn't Deloitte have to sign off on that?
Yeah. Fair market value. Who knows?
And then then there would be the whole lawsuits. I'm just waiting for Deloitte to not want to clear somebody and say that's not fair market value and let their agent or attorney decide, let's let the Supreme Court or somebody decide if it's fair market value or not.
Yeah. We'll hit a break here, OB, and on the other side, again, a lot of topics to get into.
That guy's name's Felix.
Felix Ojo.
Ojo. All right.
That's his name. So
Ojo. I might give him $5 million just for that name. Ojo.
On the other side, we'll talk about something. Make sure you keep watching. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner's Jewelers.
All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners. Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, an IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals to make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them. 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables.
Nick Savage here on TexAgs Live, Ragged Rick to my left here on the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and we're going to go over to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ava Davis has a few messages and interesting ranking from Christian Kirk, of all people.
Yes. Dick and Dimebox says if Arch's last name was Buchanan, there's no way in heck that he would be ranked that high.
You can say hell.
It'd probably be higher.
I can't.
It'd probably be higher. People forget that I was a quarterback too.
Mm-hmm.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Tigers. You know
We've
what?
learned a lot about you in the past 5 minutes, OB.
That's probably true. Just the Manning name elevated the hype. But the young man clearly has talent. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think the question is at what level. If you rank 1 to 10, say, in your performance, 7, I think you're a good quarterback. 10, you're obviously a Heisman Trophy contender.
Yep.
And he's probably somewhere between 7 and 10. I just don't know where, and that's what we're going to find out.
Yep. And then Christian Kirk put out his rankings for his top stadiums, correct?
Yes, Christian Kirk, former A&M wide receiver during 2015 and 2017. Christian Kirk,
Great player.
Yes, great player. He ranked his top 5 college stadiums with the best atmosphere, with A&M at number 1, number 2, University of Michigan, then LSU, Penn State, and number 5, University of Alabama.
Okay, my only issue of that is I think Alabama's the only stadium other than Kyle Field that he played in.
That's what I was about to say. He must be, because he's a former 5-star, taking visits,
you know what? Yeah,
stuff like that.
And he may have, who knows, he may have gone to a game with a teammate. So I'm not going to discount Christian. Look, I've been to Michigan. It ain't that great. I've been to Penn State. That depending on the opponent, that's pretty good. And what was you said Alabama? What was the other one?
LSU at number 3.
Okay. See, LSU and A&M, to me, there's the difference. What I call a great atmosphere and an intimidating atmosphere, and I don't think A&M's an intimidating atmosphere, and I don't want it to be. I don't want fans to go to A&M games here and get cussed at and have stuff thrown at them, and people just trying to just be a-holes and instigators. And I want I want A&M to be, Cal Field to be like that Texas game back in, what was it, 85, when they couldn't even snap the ball because it was so loud.
Yep.
That, absolutely. But I don't want all the other crap that comes with classless fans, like we saw at Colorado, at Miami, and other places I've been to. Okay, so he had a game there. I couldn't remember. Thank you that he played there. But I know he didn't play at Penn State or Michigan. But, again, he may have gone to because we see we saw the Milwaukee Bucks down here for a game once after they won the championship because Chris Middleton came down and brought the team with him for a big game.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you go, and maybe that's how he experienced it.
Absolutely. Well, B, that'll do it for the 8 o'clock hour. You're going to stick around for one more segment with me. And then also in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll have Jamie McCoy join us for a little preseason talk. Jonathan Hutton of Outkick will join us as well. In the 10 o'clock hour, we'll have Caroline Fenton and Luke Evangelist on the program. So make sure you keep it right here. You're listening to TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and an extension of the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB is going to stick around for one more segment. I'm Nick Savage, filling in for David Nuno, and OB in this segment, we're going to play a game, I guess, if you want to call it. I'm going to present you with an if scenario.
If.
You're going to tell me then this will happen.
If then.
For example, I don't think you need one, but I'm just going to give you one. If somebody tweets at David Nuno making fun of his shirt, then he will challenge them to a fight, right? That's fair. Yeah, you'd get it. So
if someone says that they can score in a SEC basketball game, then David Nuno is going to challenge them to a basketball game.
Well, that was me, and I got shut out. So anyways, moving on to our game. And these are Aggie football related. And if you come up with one, text it into the show. Tweet us, whatever you want to do. Don't call us because I'm not going to take the call. If Marcel Reed finishes the season with 20-plus passing touchdowns and under 10 interceptions, then
A&M is probably going to win at least 9 games.
Okay. He was 15-6 last year, by the way.
Yeah, and I expect him to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But see, my issue with, and I've said this before, my concern isn't with the offense. I think the offense is going to score. My concern is the defense going to keep your opponents from scoring. So if you told me that he was going to do that, and the defense was going to average giving up, 20 points a game, and maybe that's, or, something good on, then I might say, oh, then they're playing for the championship, because I think A&M, I really believe that A&M, first of all, I believe that Marcel's going to make the expected progress, and I think that A&M offense is going to average 30 to 35 points, maybe more.
So you kind of led me into my next one perfectly here, and we know this is going to be the case. So if Mike Elko calls the defense for every game in 2025, which we know he's going to do, then
I think A&M will increase their sack numbers. I think that they will. I think they will improve defensively. The question is how much, right? I think one of the big questions we have is, are they going to stop the run, the big play, more successfully, and are they going to play an effective zone defense or just coverage? Because those were areas that A&M struggled. And I don't, maybe you can call a run blitz here and there or a blitz that's going to here and there that's going to interrupt the passer and things like that. But at some point, the coach can only do so much.
Yeah.
And the player is going to have better coverage, and the player is going to have to step into a hole and make a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And until I see that, I'm going to have to, I said, I'm going to have to be the Missouri guy. You got to show me.
Mm-hmm.
Until I see them with good coverage consistently, and somebody besides Will Lee, and I see, the number of big plays in the run game reduced. Now, if I see dramatic improvement in those two areas, then I think A&M is going to be a team that's going to be a championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to see it.
Yep. If the Aggies avoid any significant season-ending injuries,
that's huge.
Then
they'll probably be in the championship discussion in November, even mid to late November, because quite frankly, I've said this many times, 90% of the time you show me a championship team, and I'll show you a team that's had minimal injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a fact. So, and A&M had so many injuries last year that people forget. Le'Veon was so good, you forgot that Reuben Owens was hurt.
Yeah.
And what a 1-2 punch that would have been. And you forgot about losing Naboo in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tyreek Chappelle, you remember that because they were having trouble. Chase Basantes was in and out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
They had you didn't have the kid Jabri Barber for the first 3 or 4 games because of injury. A&M had a lot of injuries last year. It's really, and then, of course, Le'Veon to end the year. It really is, quite frankly, probably a little bit surprising they did as well as they did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about Connor, who played hurt, and it was obvious. There were a lot of injuries this year. Hopefully they could have minimal injuries and none of them will be devastating.
Yep. If A&M wins 3 out of their 5 road games, then.
Okay, so that'd be Notre Dame, Texas, LSU. They go on the road to Missouri, and they go on the road to Arkansas. That's right. If they win 3 out of 5, that's a 10-win team minimum.
Yep.
I really believe that. I know Florida's going to be difficult. Auburn's going to be better. South Carolina should be pretty good. But it's supposed to be hard in the SEC, and you're going to be at home for those games. And I don't know why someone would look at South Carolina and say, "Oh, they're going to be better than they were last year." I just don't see it. I don't know that you look at Florida. I can see why people are saying they're better because of the way they closed, but man, they lost a lot of good players too. So I think they're probably about the same Florida team. Maybe a little more explosive. Maybe.
I think my take on that would be for Florida and South Carolina is that Florida and South Carolina, I think both of those quarterbacks, I think Lagway and Sellers will both be better than they were last year. But it's possible because they don't have the same pieces around them that the teams aren't as good because Sellers isn't going to have Rocket Sanders, Lagway, who are his receivers?
Right. When I look at South Carolina, though, I look at the defense and just look at all they lost to the NFL draft. I mean, not just good players that were starters. I'm talking about NFL caliber players that aren't on that team anymore. Is the next guy going to be that good? Probably not. Florida. Yeah, okay, they're going to be better. I can see that. I think Lagway's really fantastic player and all. Auburn should be better, but so much of it is they lost some really good players on defense. I don't know about their O-line. Jackson Arnold, is he going to be better? I would think he's going to be better than Peyton Thorne, but he wasn't very good at Oklahoma. Now, that said, he did not have the caliber of receivers at Oklahoma that he's going to have at Auburn. So there's something to be proven there, too.
If Terry Bussey takes a step forward, then.
Yeah, if Terry Bussey becomes that consistent producer and deep threat that I think he can be, then I think A&M could have the most, or in the top 3 most explosive offenses in the SEC next year.
Do you think Terry Bussey isn't talked about enough? Because I feel like over the offseason we don't mention his name probably as much as we should. But maybe I'm off on that.
We talk about him, and when we do, it's what we just said. He needs to make a step. He showed flashes, and what we got out of Terry Bussey last year was a bonus because he wasn't even supposed. He never played receiver. wasn't even supposed to play receiver when he got here.
Yeah.
So everything was a bonus. But with a year of getting ready and bigger and understanding and actually playing receiver and all this, if he becomes the deep threat, I think that's what the one thing that A&M misses is a consistent deep threat. And if he can be that guy, definitely has the speed to be. And you throw in Casey Concepcion and you throw in Mario Craver, you're already better at receiver.
Yeah.
And you're really good in the offensive line. And let's not forget that A&M, what was in conference games? What team led the SEC in scoring?
A&M.
A&M. So it should be a really good offense anyway with that offensive line. And I think Marcel getting better and Le'Veon back and Reuben Owens back. Then the additions at receiver. But if Bussey comes on and turns out to be that guy, that defense say, "Oh, good night, we gotta account for him." Then I think you'll have the whole package on defense.
A little two-parter here, but we'll start with part one. If A&M wins 10 games, then?
No, then they're in the playoff.
Think so?
Yeah. A 10-win SEC team? Yeah, because if they win 10 games, that means you've beaten. I'm not saying you've beaten all these teams, but you've beaten probably, well, 3 of these. You've beaten Notre Dame, or LSU, or Texas, or South Carolina, or Florida. Right? So you give me 10 wins and say, well, he beat South Carolina, he beat Florida, and he beat LSU. You're in.
Yep.
Beat Notre Dame and Texas, you're in. You know, give me 3 of those 5 wins, and you're probably to a 10-win season. I can't imagine you wouldn't be in. Yeah.
If A&M wins 8 games, then
you're still spinning your wheels and you're stuck, and it probably meant that that Marcel did not improve enough, and it meant that your defense still had trouble, probably in coverage.
2 more for you, and these are stat-related ones. If A&M gets 35 plus sacks, then, and for just to preface it, last year A&M only had 25.
Yeah, 35 plus. Then I think add at least 1 win to the win total from last year. I think if they can get at least 9 or 35 sacks, I think they're going to increase their interception rate probably. And they had a lot of interceptions last year for a change.
Yeah.
But I think they could have even more because I like, quarterbacks under duress. We saw it against LSU, what happens there. If they can get 35 sacks, man, that'd be an improvement by what, 40%? Where's Dawson when I need him?
The human
that'd be significant. That'd make you a much better team because where the pass rush is coming from, I think, is one of the big concerns about this.
Last one for you. If A&M is a top 40 total defense, then, and last year, they were 63rd in the country.
Yeah, then I think you're a top 40. I think you might be you'll go into November, probably mid-November, as a champion, as a playoff contender. You got to finish the job.
Absolutely. Let's get into one more topic before I get you out of here, OB, and we get to Jamie McCoy on the other side. ESPN put out an article about just under-the-radar players for top 25 teams coming into this year. A&M's was Tyreek Chappelle.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, again, coming back from injury, I probably would have put the guy we just talked about, Terry Bussey. But Tyreek Chappelle is a guy that him coming back healthy. He was a 3-year starter, would have been a 4-year starter. I assume that he's going to make the pass coverage better, and that's an improved pass coverage would be a giant step forward for A&M success.
I feel like he doesn't get enough national attention is why I put him down. We all know about him, but Ruben Owens would be my pick on that list just because freshman year, we saw the flashes. Last year, obviously hurt, so can't contribute significantly. But like you mentioned earlier, a Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens 1-2 punch. If we get that all year, I think Ruben Owens is going to be
it's a cliche, the old thunder and lightning, but he's definitely the lightning to Le'Veon Moss's thunder. Even though Le'Veon has that ability to go a long way. We saw that against Missouri. I think all of those guys would qualify. I think, though, with the only reason I wouldn't say Ruben is, again, we saw A&M have a very productive running game without him. Now, with him, it gets even better. But what if he turns out to be a Reggie Bush type?
Yeah.
That the Reggie Bush, what was it, Lindale White was the big, powerful running back. What if it turns out to be something like that? Now, that's unfair to Ruben Owens to say, hey, he's going to be like this Heisman Trophy winner and first. But from maybe not to the same degree, but at least in the discussion of saying, you resemble that.
Here's a fun one on the YouTube chat real quick. If Arch Manning is a bust, then
Well, then I
Go back
think
to that game, but-
if Arch Manning's a bust, then Texas probably wins 8 games or less. I mean, if your quarterback goes out there and doesn't play well, and the thing about Texas is, no one's pointed. I mean, somebody must know something really amazing about their offensive line, because they had a really good offensive line and 4 starters are gone, and one of them was a high first round draft choice. So, I just say it before, doesn't mean they're not going to be good, but is the next guy as good as the last guy? Or is the guy who replaces Matthew Golden going to be the same threat? Maybe not.
Yeah.
So if their quarterback goes out and is a bust, and what if their offensive line isn't as good, and what if their passing game isn't as explosive? I'm not going to say Texas is going to be a bad team, but they're definitely not going to be, if your quarterback's a bust, not going to be the national championship contender they're expected to be, because I guarantee you one of the reasons that they may be ranked number 1 when the polls come out next month is Arch Manning and what people expect from him.
Yep. Olin, thank you for hanging out with me a little bit longer. Appreciate it. Well, you'll be back tomorrow. We got you back for a while. So
yeah, who's back? Who's hosting tomorrow?
Ronnie will be in the host chair tomorrow.
Okay, I got to be.
You got to save your diabolical, most crazy ideas for Thursday.
Immature things.
Save that for Thursday. Throw that at Matthew and Luke and see how they handle it.
Matthew and Luke. We need Mark and John and get the whole gospel in.
We got the space for it. So again, thank you, OB. On the other side, we'll talk to Jamie McCoy, former Texas A&M tight end. Just get some preseason talk with him, and after that, we'll get to Jonathan Hutton of Outkick on Zoom. So that's what we got for the 9 o'clock hour. Hope you keep it right here. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Schulers. Back in on TexAgs Live, we're presented by David Garner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and we're going to go out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline and catch up with one of our favorites, Jamie McCoy, former Texas A&M tight end, joins us every week during the football season, and I thought, why not? We haven't heard from him since the spring, after the spring game. So, Mr. McCoy, how you doing?
I'm good, Nick. How you doing today, man? Good to be on.
We're great. Yeah, thank you for taking some time this morning to talk a little Aggie football, and just not going to get too in depth. Just get your opinion on how things may stand right now, and maybe how you're feeling as the season gets a little bit closer. So obviously, you played tight end in college. So just with the transfer portal additions Mike Elko made for that room, Nate Borkature out of Nebraska, Michael Riley out of Auburn, Amari Nyblack, who's more like a wide receiver, but a big piece to add to that room, plus Theo, and you got some incoming freshmen as well. So just where's your confidence level in that tight end group, and what do you expect to see out of them this year?
Man, if I had to put a number to it, I'd say it's like at a 9. I think we've got as much talent as we've ever had. The thing that I love most is we got guys that they already have experience coming back, and they can pour into the young guys that you mentioned. It seems like we've got everything in our grasp that we would want to do as an offense, whether that's bring 2 tight ends to block and go run heavy, whether you want to have a blocking tight end and a passing tight end, maybe play action. And then we also have some speedster guys that kind of did what I did as far as blocking on the edge and then going out to be a receiver. So I think if our line can do what I expect them to do, and our running backs can do what they do, I think this tight end room is they're in a great spot to be able to put their hand in the pile and help this team get to the aspiration they're trying to get to at the end of the year.
We'll kind of go position by position here on the offense, but Noah Thomas transfers out, right? But you get Kevin Concepcion, Mario Craver, some key additions back into that wide receiver room, and that's something we talked about all season long last year. Is where's the deep threat? Who's going to be that deep threat? You lose the guy that most people would consider the deep threat, but just do you think that wide receiver room got better, or is that still a I need to see it, wait and see type of thing?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you never want to lose a talent like Noah, especially with his height and his experience. But what I saw in the spring game from Concepcion and Craver, both of those guys look more than ready. I love the speed aspect that they bring. I love them getting across the field. I can't put my finger on it. I wish I had done like a deep dive on the roster. But there was another guy in the spring game that was new to the team, but he was making plays all over the place. I know he scored a touchdown. He made a couple of like 2 or 3 contested grabs that were just tough. And guys like that, you love seeing people put their hand in the pile as well. So I can't remember his name. It may come to you.
You're thinking of Isaiah Williams?
Yes. He made some great catches, and for me as a guy just outside looking in, when I see a guy doing that, I'm telling myself, okay, this guy wants it. He may have just played himself into a smaller role that he can probably grow into. So again, you hate to lose Thomas, but I think that these guys are more than capable, and I think that with our plan, I see us running it, being run heavy on teams, getting an early lead, and then milking the clock. So I think these guys are more than capable to do that, and I'm excited to what they're going to show us.
What are your expectations for Marcel Reed this season? He's going to get, he's QB1 going into fall camp, right? Going to get the start, be the starter, be the guy, So what are your expectations for him coming into 2025?
For Marcel, it's expectations from me, but I also know it's got to be expectations from himself as well. But I just want to see growth in all areas. I've been in situations where you were in a QB competition and you may not have been the starter or awarded that position, but you just got to stay ready. But there's a different aspect to it when you come in knowing that you're the guy. So I hope that he has some built-in. It's kind of like, I don't know if you watch UFC, but once you get the belt, it's like you kind of gain some momentum and gain some points knowing, okay, I'm the champ. I'm the best in the world. Now let me go out here and show that and prove that. And it kind of translated into your practice and your work. So from Marcel, I like to see keeping the offense and in prime position. What I mean by that, staying ahead of the chains. I love to see his feet settle. There were a lot of times last year where he just kind of, when we had errant throws, it was just because his feet weren't set, or he was scrambling and doing whatever he needed to do. But outside of that, I just like to see a little more accuracy on his deep ball and his intermediate throws. But all of these things are things that can very easily be corrected with some hard work put in the offseason. And then, like I said, knowing that you're stepping into this thing and it's your team and it's your role. I expect for him to do that, and I know that with Mike Elko going over and taking charge of things on the defense, hopefully Colin Klein has been his best friend, been in his ear, and has him ready to roll.
How good do you think a fully healthy running back room will be? Because they fully expect to have Le'Veon Moss, Reuben Owens, and Amari Daniels all ready to go for the season opener. So just how dangerous can that room be if all three of those guys are fully healthy?
Man, if they're all fully healthy, I think it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, I even venture to say 11 out of 10. Le'Veon displayed everything that you would want from a running back, especially an SEC running back, as far as the want to, the power running, the not being denied, the short yardage. That was one of the things that we struggled on late in the year. And not to any detriment of Amari Daniels, but it was just, I think when we lost Le'Veon, we lost a little bit of our identity. So to have a full running back room back in the stable this year, I think the sky's the limit. I think each one of these guys has a little niche that they do better than the other. And I think when you put it all together, not to mention any incoming freshmen that have talent, I mean, you're talking to the eternal optimist here. I think that we should beat everybody 100-0.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. But I really do feel like we can do some great things this year. We do. If we can get by that Notre Dame game, I think we're settling.
What's your biggest question mark for this team going into 2025? Maybe you don't exactly know what that is yet. Maybe it's what the defense is going to look like, the defensive line. Just what's the biggest question mark for you?
That's a good question. Gosh, if I had to put something on it, I would just say identity. I feel like I know what we want to be. And like I said, Elko, man, in the defense, I know what it was like when he was here as defense coordinator. If somebody got something off in the first half, you just knew coming into the second half that was going to be taken away. He was great at confusing quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, and making them think that they had something there. And then at the snap of the play, everything would switch. So I'm not concerned with the defense. But when I say identity, I mean, what type of team are we going to be? And I would love for us, like I said, to be that team that goes out early, plays hard-nosed football, gets a lead, builds that lead, 10, 14 points, and then put a defense in a precarious situation where they have to throw the ball in order to catch up. And then when we know what they have to do, I think Elko is one of the best at taking that stuff away and making it confusing while putting pressure on you. We got the defensive pieces to put the pressure that I'm speaking of. And special teams wise, I think that we have new kicker, great punter. I think it'll just be our identity, embracing that identity, going out there and putting it on tape each week, and then hopefully getting the W.
Last question for you here, Jamie, and then I'll let you get out of here. What games do you have circled on the schedule, most important games for you that could lead A&M to a very successful season or maybe a playoff berth?
Oh, man. Great question again. I would say I'm planning on going to the Notre Dame game.
Awesome.
Just because I want to get up to Chicago. I know it's in South Bend, but I want to do some stuff in that area that I haven't done. These aren't circled. I'm trying to be at all the home games, but I definitely think we need our get back on Auburn for how things ended last year. That was bull. I think we need our get back on South Carolina. I know Lenore Sellers is good, but I think, in my personal opinion, he's overrated. Great talent, but I think they got off with one, and then their coach going in there and singing a song at the end of the game. We're not the team to do that against. I need our get back against them. And then LSU is going to be tough. That's one that's circled. If we can go down to Baton Rouge and come away with a win, that would be icing on the cake. And then always you got Austin at the end of the year. I love what they talking Heisman hopes already and automatic bid to the playoff. I hate them talking like that. So if we could do anything to shut that up or bump them lower or keep them out, I would love to do that at the end of the year. So those 5 games would be at the top of my list.
Absolutely. Mr. McCoy, thank you for making a little bit of time for me this morning, and can't wait till we're talking to you every week here in about a month or two.
Yeah, no problem, Nick. Appreciate you having me.
That's Jamie McCoy on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break here, and on the other side, we'll check in with Jonathan Hutton of Outkick. We'll talk a little bit of everything, college football, Aggie football, all that good stuff. So keep it right here. You're listening to TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner Jewelers. Back here on TexAgs Live, we're presented by David Gardner Jewelers. Nick Savage here filling in for David Nuno inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. And we're going to go out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to talk to Jonathan Hutton of Outkick. And Jonathan, I feel like we had you on about a month ago, I think, with Nuno, but I figured it's never a bad time to talk to our friends over at Outkick. So how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Nick, and you're holding it down well with Nuno out. So maybe he's looking over his shoulder. You never know.
Yeah, well, I hope not. But
and also that means someone else is in your seat today, right?
That's true. Yeah, and he's looking over my shoulder for sure. So
yeah, so
I got to throw him a curveball or something and try to see if he can figure it out. But random question before we start: do you go to the movies a lot? Do you enjoy going to the movies or no?
I mean, I loved going to the movies as growing up. High school, just, I grew up on a farm. So, like, any reason to get done with the outdoor farm chores early.
Yeah.
Loved it. I remember the only movie I've ever walked out on was Spanglish. Do you remember this? Have you seen this? Don't go watch it if you haven't. Adam Sandler was awful. Everything else was awesome. And now I'm looking for a reason to go. Thank God for Tom Cruise. He is forcing us back in the theater. It's great. There's a nostalgia to it. There's some energy to it. I wish there was more like that. And, unfortunately, we're going to see more and more just, made for release on Apple TV or whatever it might be. That's the age we're in. I would prefer going to the theater like we used to.
I'm the same way. I rarely ever go to the movie theater anymore, but I made the mistake of going this past week to see the new Jurassic Park movie. And apparently I'm the only one in this office that sees it for what it is, just garbage. So I was just curious if you had a take on it or not. But anyways, we'll get into
it. No, okay. So Jurassic Park, at some point it jumps the shark.
Yes. How many dinosaur movies can you make?
Like the third or fourth one that I could put up with. Like the rest of them, it's okay. You can only bring back dinosaurs every so often,
exactly,
and entertain me. So if they want to do a throwback and actually try to remake the first one,
with
that's
modern
next.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways. All right, let's talk a little bit of college football, SEC football, Aggie football, and all that. Are you going to be in Atlanta for Media Days?
Yep. Yeah, awesome. We're going trying to get Clay to get us tickets to the Home Run Derby too. We'll see if he comes through on that. But
perfect.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. It's always a busy week, but it's really cool to catch up with everybody and grab some good content as well, some good coverage, and you guys crush it as well. I just hope that we get more access than what it's turned into.
Yeah, you and Nuno talked about that.
You're gonna get Elko. And then what? There's this. Everything's booked. Everybody's on the car wash, and it's very rare that you see the coaches go and do anything other than what they are led to sit down and do. And that was not always the case. You're going to get Greg Sankey. You'll get the coach from your town, from your city, and then you hear from the media. I want the SEC more involved in making that an emphasis moving forward. We'll see.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I'm as the producer of our show on the site.
Yeah.
It would be helpful to me because that's a lot less running around I have to do. But anyways, let's break down. I guess we can start with just your overall feel for the SEC. Like, what teams do you have circled as real contenders? Who are maybe some of the pretenders, and just who's on that list for you?
So I think there's four in the top for me, with Texas and with the Aggies, and then there's LSU and Alabama, and just then there's the middle, the heart of the SEC, right there in the middle, from like team 5 to 11, let's say. You could put any team in those spots, and it makes sense to me. 5 to 11, from like Tennessee or Auburn to you've got Florida. It's a crazy year, great storylines, and there'll be some upsets along the way. But the upsets now are a top heavy league. It's not top heavy. This is not the Big Ten. So I look forward to seeing who from that middle group is going to take a step forward and become top tier?
And I know y'all have been talking about it, you and Chad, recently on your podcast about scheduling in the SEC and moving that to a 9-game conference schedule instead of the 8-game. Just talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, I want this. As a fan, I want better games. I know that ESPN wants this moving forward. They want better games. They're going to pay more for it. I think we're going to see it. Now, here's really where I think it benefits everyone. From the Southeastern Conference perspective, from Greg Sankey and others, you do not want a coach, speaking on behalf of coaches, and quite frankly, I was on board with this too. Turns out it would have helped Lane Kiffin to play in the SEC title game. But I understand where he's coming from last year. He's like, does it even benefit us to go to Atlanta?
Yeah.
You can't have an SEC championship game and have a scenario like we saw where it may not benefit you because you don't want the extra loss. So the SEC can reshape how we view strength of schedule, which is by far and away top of the class for strength of schedule for conference. You're adding the extra game, but what I think it does is it puts an emphasis on the SEC schedule. If you finish first, if you finish second, if you get the automatic qualifiers, first and second are going to be in the college football playoff. You win the SEC then. And then I think you have a play-in for the third and fourth teams as your representatives for the automatic qualifiers for the college football playoff. You play those games the same weekend you would have played them in Atlanta for the SEC title game. And then you have a true emphasis on the schedule itself. And it doesn't hurt you if you lose a game outside of your conference. Because you can be, theoretically, you could be the 11th team and go into the final week of the season with the chance to go to Atlanta and play your way into the college football playoff because you'll be one of the top 4 teams. You'll take teams, 3, 4, 5, and 6 who would end up going and playing in this. And I think it emphasizes and it strengthens even more so the conference head-to-head matchups that we already have and we're already watching. It makes more of an emphasis on South Carolina versus Missouri on a Saturday in that final week. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical there, but that to me, it's more of the NFL model, but the SEC is leading the charge. The Big Ten can do it too if they wanted to. It's the one benefit that they can create, SEC can create, that the ACC and the Big 12 don't have. They don't have the ability to do this setup.
Yeah.
That's why I think they're going to do it. And then you get more money, NIL, and you continue to have more of a cash flow than any of the other conferences.
What are your quarterback, not rankings, I don't want to say that, but just who do you think some of the best quarterbacks in the SEC are? And this is kind of a two-parter. Are you buying all the Arch Manning hype? Because he's, started 2 games.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on what outlet you look at. He's leading the Heisman odds, right? So do you buy that? Are you in on Nuss, Sellers? Just where do you stand on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to Arch Manning, I'm in on Arch because of his last name right now, just like everyone else. We haven't seen enough. They started a quarterback ahead of him that was hurt for 12 straight weeks and was a 7th-round pick. Now, it's not Ewer's fault that he falls to the 7th round per se. It can be injury-related, whatever. But to me, that was there has to be some type of moment there where we see like a TUE swap into the starting quarterback role. We didn't see it. He played well. It's not like he fell flat on his face when he had his opportunity, but he did okay. I thought he was good. Do I think he can ascend to the next level? Absolutely. But I've seen more from other quarterbacks. Nussmeier he's quality. I really like him. I think the experience, throws too many picks, not as mobile, but man, I think that can be the deciding factor for the team that wins the SEC is the experience versus the guy that catches fire. Arch is going to be fine, but the other quarterback, you've got who did you mention? Sellers. I see.
Sellers,
The Sellers thing is fascinating to me because of it feels like it's just a tad bit early to say, man, this is the bandwagon to jump on. I don't think I don't think we're looking back at this and going, this is the difference between South Carolina that doesn't make the college football playoff and a team that does. I think that's more or less why everyone's on board with the Heisman odds. I know that's what you're referencing. The Heisman odds for him, I'm not betting that because I think it's more recency bias for everyone wanting South Carolina in the playoff last year. There was a big buzz for that. Alabama became the story, but the momentum was with South Carolina, and I think by and large part that's why the betting favorites are who they are right now.
Absolutely. Jonathan, we got to run, got to hit a break here. So I appreciate you taking some time and talking to me, and we'll see you we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell everyone I said hello and keep up the great show.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. That's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll take a quick break, one short segment on the other side. This is TexAgs Live presented by David Garner Jewelers. Welcome back in. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Garner Jewelers here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Last segment of the 9 o'clock hour. In the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to Caroline Fenton right off the top. We're going to hear from Josh Holloway, Texas A&M basketball transfer from Samford, came over with Bucky McMillan. Luke Evangelist did a great Texas Aggies United interview, so we'll hear that on the show. And then we'll hear from the man, Luke Evangelist himself, just giving me some updates on some Aggies and the pros and just some takeaways from what he's seen out of the Aggie basketball team so far. We'll go over real quick to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Ava Davis is there. And Ava, you told me something earlier that surprised me. You and your boyfriend are what? Well, your boyfriend's seen all of the Star Wars movies. He's showing you Star Wars for the first time, right?
Yes.
And you saw episode 1, which is the first prequel that they made.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
It was a lot. There were a lot of people. I don't remember any of the names or any of the. He asked me. He's like, "What are the 3 planets they've been to?" I was like, "I don't know."
I couldn't.
What are you talking
answer
about?
that either.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But it was good. I feel kind of bad that I've never watched it with him after 3 years. So
you only have 8 more to go, and I was telling you, as much as I've hated on the new Jurassic Park movie, the 7th, episode 7, Star Wars, worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It's awful.
Okay,
so you probably just skip it.
I'll probably skip it. I have to ask him if he feels the same way.
Yeah.
He probably does.
You should do what I told you.
Oh,
just tell him.
The ones after that one are worse, to be fair.
Oh,
The
really?
2 after that one
There's
are
only
worse.
1 after that one.
No. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to write off the 9th one that they made that was pretty bad, yeah. But
we may be talking about different movies here, Kate.
No, wait.
The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi. That's the one
that
I'm
was
talking
8.
about. That's what I said.
Said 7.
Oh, 8. Sorry. That one stinks. We got to go. Caroline Fenton on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner. Back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go back out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to talk to a friend of the program, Caroline Fenton of Yahoo Sports. Caroline, hello. It's been a while. How are you?
It's been a minute, but whenever I get to talk to y'all, that always means that football season is near. So not only do I get to catch up with my old friends, but I also know that football season is close. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Just update us. You started a new position at Yahoo Sports not too long ago. How's that going? I know you're engaged as well, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, all the things are happening. I've been at Yahoo about a year now, just coming up on the year anniversary. So it's been wonderful. It's been amazing, truly. We have a ton of exciting and fun things coming up on the horizon. So stay tuned for that. But this past year, I've gotten to host our one of our college football podcasts, which has been an absolute blast, getting to cover college basketball, women's basketball, the WNBA this summer. And now we're leading up to football season. So it's been truly wonderful. Just got engaged, so I'm wedding planning, just bought a house. So we're getting ready to move. So my background isn't as decorated as it usually is. So just got a dog too. So we're doing all the life things, but all the great things. So very, very happy and stoked to get started.
Yeah, we're happy for you too. And one more thing before we get into the football talk. How did you make it to Omaha? Did you take in that LSU run? How'd that go for you?
I didn't get to make it to Omaha, and there have been, humble brag as an LSU Tigers fan and LSU alum, several opportunities for me to go to Omaha, but it's always something comes up or it's expensive, and I always think, maybe I'll get it next time. Every single time I say that and I tell myself I'll go to the next one, I regret it. And this year was no different. We just happened to plan a vacation the week of Omaha, which in hindsight, not great planning on our part, but we had a lovely trip to Mexico City. But it was just a blast to be able to take in this entire ride that was this LSU baseball team. 2023 felt so different. That championship run, it felt like that team was destined for a championship really from the beginning. This team didn't have the same amount of star power. It wasn't as star-studded with the Skeens and the Tommy Whites and the Dylan Cruz that 2023 had. But something that was so special about this 25 team was this team kept finding a way. And that was really, really fun to watch. And overall, obviously I'm stoked as an LSU fan, but I'm so happy for Jay Johnson. That, everything I know about him, everything that his players say about him, everyone that all of his, all the members of his coaching staff say about him is he is a grinder. Nobody cares more than he does. Nobody works harder than he does. So I'm just happy that he's seeing as much success. 2 national championships in the last 3 years, 2 in his first 4 at LSU. Just really, really happy for him to see this level of success.
Absolutely. So as you alluded, for those of the audience that hasn't heard Caroline before, she's an LSU grad, LSU fan. So we'll ask her some LSU focused questions and shift into the SEC, her take on the Aggies and more. So just expectations for you for LSU coming into 2025. Take it away.
It's college football playoff. And I'm not going to say college football playoff or bust, because I always think that's kind of a dramatic way to put it. If LSU doesn't make the college football playoff, that doesn't mean that Brian Kelly is getting fired. That's what or bust means to me. But that's the expectation. It is now year 4 for Brian Kelly at LSU. The last 3 coaches at LSU have won national championships. That was the expectation when Brian Kelly took over. And that expectation really has only, gotten more urgent. And you get to the SEC championship game in year 1. Amazing. Jaden Daniels wins a Heisman in year 2. Wonderful. You miss the college football playoff and go 8-4 in the regular season last year. It was a step back. So I think this year, now with Garrett Nussmeier coming into year 5, his second year as a starter, the amount of money and the amount of investment that LSU made in the transfer portal this past transfer portal cycle, all of those things have just upped the ante even more. So the amount of talent on this roster, the amount of time now that Brian Kelly has had to build this program, it feels like the ingredients of a college football playoff caliber team. And it feels like that's where this program needs to be. And that's where Brian Kelly needs to have it going into year 4. So I think the biggest thing and the biggest point of optimism for me with this team is Garrett Nussmeier. You saw Joe Burrow, what he was able to do in year 2 at LSU. You saw what Jaden Daniels was able to do in year 2 at LSU. It was a seismic, shifts and leaps and bounds, both Heisman Trophy winners in year 2. I'm not saying that Garrett Nussmeier has to be a Heisman Trophy winner in year 2. I'll take it, obviously, as a fan. But I think that's what fans are expecting, that kind of leap, that kind of maturity, and that kind of step forward for Garrett Nussmeier as he takes over as the starter in year 2.
Where do you think he's at in terms of SEC quarterbacks? Because I feel like in this office you get mixed opinions on Garrett. I'd say he's top 3 or 4 for me. I think he's going to be good, and we saw what he could do in the first half here at Kyle Field last year. Was throwing the ball all over the place. So just where do you think he ranks among SEC quarterbacks?
The key is first half, Nick. First half. And then what Marcel Reed was able to do in the second half. But I think, and I always will take an objective look at things. Sure, I'm a fan. I can take my purple and gold tinted glasses off and just look at it objectively. And I will say nobody is more critical of the LSU Tigers than I am. You're always hardest on the ones that you love the most. But I don't think that there's any discussion that Garrett Nussmeier isn't in the top 3. And I think there's a very, very strong argument to say that at least going into the season, that Garrett Nussmeier is the top quarterback in the SEC, just because there is very little retention, and the retention that the SEC does have at the quarterback position has very little experience. Look, I'm super stoked for DJ Lagway if he can stay healthy, what he can do in year 2. Same thing with Marcel Reed. The bursts of greatness that we saw from Marcel Reed at times last season, I'm excited to see what he can do in year 2. Same thing with Lenora Sellers at South Carolina. He's got a year of starting experience under his belt. How much more can he do in his sophomore season? But so I think that all those guys that are returning, that have shown a lot, that have won really big games and have gotten really good quality SEC in-game experience going into their sophomore seasons, I think are all in contention for being in that top 10, top 5, top 3 conversation in the SEC. But Garrett Nussmeier has been around. I know he hasn't been a starter, but he's been sitting the bench, and he sat behind Jaden Daniels when he went on his Heisman campaign. He has been learning this offense and learning this coaching staff and knows this roster and this team very well. So just the seniority factor, I think, has to give Garrett Nussmeier a little bit of an edge. Now, where the rankings are on July 8th, aren't where the rankings are going to be on October 30th.
Absolutely.
So you have to keep that in mind. Like, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what this year is going to look like. I think there's a very fair conversation that John Mateer coming into Oklahoma can be one of those guys in a Heisman conversation as one of the top 3, top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. Like, what does Jackson Arnold look like at Auburn when he has, Hugh Freeze, who's a quarterback whisperer, and he's in a new offense, just has a fresh start away from all of the expectations at Oklahoma? Like, those are all guys that I'm keeping an eye on, but just with the experience factor, I have to give the edge to Garrett Nussmeier, frankly, as the top spot in the SEC. But of course, things can change. It's July.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I don't think I heard you say one name that we've talked quite a bit about this show so far. Arch Manning. I'm not, again, he started 2 games. I don't know. Like, I'm not. There's some places where you look where he's a Heisman favorite already. I don't. Again, July, where it's preseason talk, but I don't necessarily buy that. He's probably getting a lot of that hype because of his last name, and that's fair. I mean, it's a Manning. You can give it to him. But just quick sidebar. How do you feel about Arch Manning?
Yeah, look, you can't deny that probably a lot of this hype and excitement is because his last name is Manning. And that's okay. Like, that's fair. Like, his last name is freaking Manning. It's the royalty of football, okay? Of football in general, not just college football. So I get it. You have every reason for optimism because you have one of the brightest offensive minds, if not the greatest offensive mind in college football, as his head coach in Sark. You have a Texas team that has reportedly spent $35 to $40 million on this roster. And Texas, in back-to-back years, has been in the Final Four in the college football playoff. Now you have a guy who's been able to largely sit and absorb and learn over the last couple of years. But you said it. We've seen him start 2 games. And one of those games was UT San Antonio. And no disrespect to the Roadrunners, but that's not necessarily an SEC kind of caliber team. And I think it's different when you are taking over week over week over week, and you are the guy versus being the backup or coming into short yardage situations like we saw Arch do so many times last year. So I think Arch can be very good because he has those tools. He was a 5-star recruit for a reason. He wasn't a 5-star recruit because of his last name, because he earned it. He didn't get an offer from every school in the country because of his last name. It's because he earned it, and he earned this starting role, and he waited his turn, and he's earned it. I just haven't seen enough. One argument that I don't like, though, Nick, and I've heard it from Steve Spurrier, and I totally understand Steve Spurrier has more knowledge about football in his pinky than I will ever have in my whole entire body and my whole entire life. But he said that, well, he wasn't able to beat out Quinn Ewers, who was a 7th-round pick, so how good can he be?
Mm-hmm.
I don't subscribe to that belief. Quinn Ewers got Texas to back-to-back college football playoffs and back-to-back Final Fours.
Yeah.
Texas was a national championship contender 2 years in a row with Quinn Ewers under the helm. He was a 7th-round pick because he was always hurt all the time and he wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't subscribe to that belief. I am tempering my expectations for Arch Manning because just like a lot of these quarterbacks that are coming in, he is very much so an unknown commodity, but I am so excited to see what he becomes just in this first year as a starter at Texas.
I had Jonathan Hutton on earlier, and I kind of asked him to give me kind of a tier list of SEC teams this year. So who's kind of in the top tier for you? I know there's a big middle portion for pretty much everybody. So just top 4 or 5 teams maybe you're looking out for, and then the rest.
I think the top tier is Texas and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some fair concerns about Georgia, right? Carson Beck leaves, Gunnar Stockton takes over. I'm really excited for Gunnar Stockton, though, because when he came in the SEC championship game, in that second half, something with that Georgia team clicked. They played faster. They seemed more energized. It was like almost like a defibrillator came to those guys in the locker room and just like brought them to life. So clearly that team rallied around Gunnar Stockton, another guy that was very, very highly rated coming out of high school. So maybe it's the Georgia benefit of the doubt that I'm giving them, putting them in that kind of elite tier, but that's a benefit of the doubt that I'm willing to give Georgia, coming off of one of the hardest schedules that we've seen in SEC history. Texas, obviously, just the talent on that team, the amount that they invested into this team and the coaching staff. Those are 2 teams that I can say are championship contenders. I feel more confident saying that about Texas than I do Georgia, but that's a league kind of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think this next tier of teams in the SEC, I would put them there because of expectation and because we feel like we have a better grasp on their quarterback situation. I would probably put LSU into that tier. I don't know if I'm willing to put Florida in that tier quite yet because their schedule is a gauntlet and because DJ Lagway hasn't been consistently healthy, but I think they can work themselves into it. I would put A&M into that tier. Elko coming in year 2, I would say that they probably exceeded expectations at times last season. And then obviously there are areas that need to be improved upon, but I think that Texas A&M expectations, Marcel Reed coming back, the amount of talent in this roster, you can say that they can kind of be in that second tier. Alabama's in that tier for me as well, but it's still a question mark. Ty Simpson, is he going to be the starting quarterback? What does year 2 under Kalen DeBoer look like? Like all of these teams that have very high expectations. Like Alabama can't go 9-3 and lose to Vanderbilt again. The expectations are high for a reason, and the expectations are high because it's a program expectation and it's because of the team expectation.
Yeah.
In that next tier, I would probably put teams that have the ability to be good, but I can't put my money on them. Tennessee is one of those teams with Joey Aguilar transferring in. Is it going to be, George McIntyre, this 5-star freshman? Just the quarterback situation, obviously, with the whole Nico thing. And they didn't do a whole lot in the transfer portal. Their wide receiver room feels depleted at this point. Auburn is another one of those teams. Has a lot of talent, but a big time question mark. Hugh Freeze is going into the season on the hot seat. I would probably loop Oklahoma into that tier as well. Again, high expectations, but a whole lot of question marks. Ole Miss probably goes in that second tier of new quarterback, some questions, but high expectations. So to me, going into this year, there are 2 things that feel definitive. It is Texas and it is Georgia. And then everything else from there seems like a really giant question mark. It starts with the coaches on the hot seat and it starts with the quarterback situations as well. There's a lot of uncertainty at a lot of quarterback positions, whether it's a new starter coming in or who the starter is actually going to be in the
Mhm.
SEC.
Do you think the SEC needs to go to a 9-game conference schedule? Do you think that's coming? Is it necessary? Do you think?
It's coming only if and when Greg Sankey says the money that they're going to get from ESPN is worth the 9th conference game.
Mhm.
Because, a lot of people have said, well, SEC schedules, a 9-game SEC, an 8-game SEC schedule is probably harder than a 9-game Big Ten schedule. I would tend to agree with that because the SEC is deeper than the Big Ten. You can make the argument about the better teams and the top of the conferences, but I don't think that you can dispute that the SEC is deeper than the Big Ten. So I don't think that any of these coaches want to sign up for another conference game, to sign up for another Texas A&M, another Texas, another Florida, another Georgia, another Ole Miss, whatever it might be. These coaches don't want to sign up for that. But if ESPN's willing to put the money up, then I think at that point, the SEC just has to say, sorry, Big Ten plays 9 conference games, ACC plays 9 conference games, Big 12 plays 9 conference games, so we will too. But I think that's really something that Greg Sankey is trying to push back on because these head coaches have been so vocal about keeping 8 conference games, having those 4 non-conference games. And you look at teams like Arkansas and Vanderbilt and even Auburn and these teams that have struggled to get bowl eligibility over the last couple of years, having those 4 quote unquote cupcake games help get you to bowl eligibility. And I think Greg Sankey, as much as he prioritizes the top of the league, wants to ensure the health of the quote unquote bottom of the league as well.
Yeah. Last question for you here, Caroline, then we'll let you get out of here. Just what was your opinion on the 12-team playoff the first time through? I don't think we've talked to you since we got that. So what changes would you make? Was it just right? Too many? What do you think?
I thought 12 was good. I am good with 12. So many people have asked me, what do you think is the correct format for the 16-team playoff? And I always say, I'm going to stop you there. The correct format is 12. 12 was good. Let's stick with 12. Let's figure out how to perfect 12. And then if we feel like we're needing a little bit more, and really that 13th team is so jaded about not getting into the playoff, then you can't spin a 16. But I liked 12 because, you look back in a 14 playoff, Ohio State's probably not in a 14 playoff if all things go the way they did this past season. So I like opening up the field. I like that there is an opportunity for a team like Indiana and a team like Boise State to get into the playoff. College football is more fun when we have more fan bases and more teams that can vie for a national championship. What I didn't like and what they've already fixed, and I think that was 1000% the right decision, was seeding. That I think it is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that Boise State gets a first round bye and Ohio State doesn't. That Oregon is the number 1 overall seed, the only undefeated team in the country, a team that is the Big Ten champions, and they get rewarded with, in the second round of the playoffs after their first round bye, they get rewarded with the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. Like that is not right. That's not a correct format. There's no other, system and format in sports that's laid out like that. So I think that the way that they're changing it, where it's the top 4 seeds rather than the top 4 conference champions, is the correct decision. So I'm excited to see what it looks like in year 2 and hope we can stick with 12 for just a little bit longer before we get greedy and expand.
Are you going to be in Atlanta next week?
Unfortunately, I will not.
You said this last year too.
So
I remember.
I know, and I found my way to Dallas.
Did.
Some way, somehow, I found my way to Dallas. And it takes a lot to keep me away from SEC Media Days, but I'm moving next week. And with Yahoo Sports, like I mentioned, we have some exciting things in the works. So with that new project, I won't be able to take on a week in Atlanta, but hold down the fort for me. Have fun for me. Give everybody a hug for me because I'm going to be missing it. I'm going to have FOMO. It's my favorite summer camp ever.
I appreciate the time, Caroline. And we'll talk to you soon when football season gets a little bit closer.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. You're killing it. Appreciate you.
Thank you. That's Caroline Fenton on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break, and on the other side, we'll hear Luke Evangelist, Texas Aggies United interview with Samford transfer Josh Holloway and his takeaway on Buckyball up to this point. So keep it right here. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner's Jewelers. Welcome back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Jewelers. We're here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno. Nuno is out the entire rest of the week until we get to SEC Media Days next week. So be sure to tune in Monday through Thursday next week. We're going to give you lots of content, hopefully all of the interviews, everyone you could ever want to hear from. But tomorrow it'll be Bronny back in the host chair, the B team's back. Thursday, Luke and Matthew in the host chair, and then Bronny back on Friday. And for a little taste of what you might get with Luke Evangelist on the show on Thursday, we're going to listen to his Texas Aggies United interview with Josh Holloway, transfer from Samford. So he's known Bucky McMillan and played under him for quite a while. So he gives some great insight into what it's going to look like at Reed Arena this winter and spring. So here's Josh Holloway with Luke Evangelist.
Howdy, Ags, and welcome to another episode of Texas Aggies United on TexAgs, sponsored by the 12th Man Foundation. I'm Luke Evangelist, sitting down with Texas A&M guard Josh Holloway, the reigning SoCon 6th Man of the Year at Samford. He is now in Aggie land. They've got summer workouts starting. Josh, thanks for coming in, and how are you liking Texas A&M?
Luke, thank you for having me. So far, it's been good. Actually, great. Getting to know the guys these last couple of weeks, just gelling, getting to know each other, build that chemistry on the court and off the court, and just getting to know some of the new coaches and the coaching staff, how they operate, and just having a good time, being positive around each other, just building chemistry with everybody.
100%. I want to go back to your decision to transfer from Samford to Texas A&M. Once Bucky McMillan was hired here, you entered the portal pretty quickly after that, and then ended up committing about a week and a half later. Take me through your thought process on why you picked Texas A&M and wanted to continue to play for Bucky and all those coaches.
One of the reasons I picked Texas A&M because of the relationship I have with Bucky and his belief in me and what he think I can do at the highest level. So he trusted me a lot, and I trust him a lot. So it was just a matter of just opportunity and trusting him and knowing my abilities, what I can do on the court. So that's all it was. And knowing that I would get to play in the same system that I've been playing with 2 years, just at a higher level, I just know it'll be good for me.
Absolutely. So for A&M fans, Bucky ball is a little bit of a change of pace to what we're used to.
Yeah.
Let's just say the A&M teams of the past, 3-point shooting and pressure wasn't really their thing. And I know that is all Bucky ball, and it's super high paced, super fun to watch. The scoreboard might be broken at Reed Arena for how many points y'all are going to put up. In your own words, can you kind of describe what that Bucky ball system is?
I would describe Bucky ball as fun, fast paced, and just running and gunning. Like, you just 40 minutes a game from start to finish. From the start of the tip-off until the end, you can't tell the difference. Like, it's all the same throughout 40 minutes. And what it does is, the way we operate is just to lean on you the whole game, to wear out the opponents, to make them tired in the fourth quarter. That's why you see in the fourth quarter, we tend to come back like we're down a lot. You saw in the Samford games, like, we was down probably like 15 with like 3 minutes left. Well, that's just throughout the course of the game. We're just hounding people. We're picking them up full court. Then if they score, we're still running and gunning our offense, so we're getting the ball out fast, and we're just getting into our offense fast, just playing and just make a smart decision. Just throughout the whole game, it tends to work and wear down on the other opponents, and that's why you see them wear out a lot.
Yeah, I think we saw that in the NBA playoffs, just the amount of crazy comebacks that happened.
Yeah.
I know Bucky loves to reference the Indiana Pacers and kind of that pro style that y'all are running, and it's different than what we've seen here at Texas A&M. You mentioned that trust that Bucky has in you. Obviously, we know your defensive skills, making the first team all-defensive team in the SoCon. What do you bring on the court that can really translate to taking your game in this system up a level from the SoCon to the SEC?
What I bring on the court is leadership, intensity, and just playmaking. My ability to get downhill, I think it's really good. So we have a lot of good shooters on our team. So if I'm able to get downhill and create for myself and others, that'd be really good. And on the defensive end, just picking up 94 feet, and that's what Coach preached, like hounding the whole game, being able to guard the best guard on the floor also while being able to play offense at a high level. So that's what I really try to bring to the team, is just set the tone on defense by picking up, being leadership, being talkative, just encouraging people and just trying to win.
Yeah, from what I've seen in practice, you are like that extra coach on the floor because you know all the drills kind of already in the order that y'all are going to do them. You know how Bucky wants them done, and you know the effort that it takes to play in that system. You mentioned that you already bring that leadership, but I think it's even more important now that you're the only one in a system that thrives on continuity, that has that continuity of playing in that system. So how much more kind of ownership do you take in that, you know, you're going from being a leader at Samford and now you are that guy at Texas A&M that knows how Bucky wants it done, and you're going to bring that intensity every night?
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, every practice, you know, it's a new set of guys that's learning a whole new system with a brand new coach. So like we have like everybody's new besides me. So like everybody's new to the system. So it's just the amount, like just encouraging like people, like if they don't know something, they'll come ask me or how to do this, or I'll just show them the way, or I'll start the drill first, you know, just helping them out and talking to them and just lead them through it, because I know like at the end of the day, I'm a point guard, so I got to be able to talk to everybody. I got to be able to encourage everybody. If they need help, they can be able to come to me, you know, as like a second coach, you know, like, because that's my job as a point guard.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have a current or former NBA player you grew up watching that you model your game after, or maybe a current player that you're watching now that is like, I'm playing like him?
So I look at, it's a lot of players that I look at. So I like looking at Chris Paul. I like looking at Kyrie Irving. I like looking at Shea, just the way he uses his body. It's a lot of guards. I like looking at Andrew Nembhard, the way he picks up. Davion Mitchell, the way he picks up. Drew Holiday. It's just as you see the similarity, like high-level offensive players and high-level defensive players, because you got to be able to defend and play at a high level too.
Yeah, 100%. When I watch your highlights, you look really athletic in the SoCon, and I think from watching you in practice, like that athleticism still stands when you're going against guys from the Power 5 level and playing in the SEC. Like I watch you and it's like the way you move at 6'2" is very unique for a guy even in this league, and I can already see that kind of translating in practice. And I know it's early, but I know like from just talking to you that that's something that you're going to bring every single night. How would you say you found your skills translating in practice, going from competing against guys that are really good in Bucky's system, but now it's like a whole new level of Power 5 guys coming in that are different guys than you're used to working against?
So it's just a matter of believing in myself, because like I always knew I can play with the best of the best. Like if I really never cared if you were Power 5 or Power whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just all about just staying confident, just playing my game, and just every day continuously getting better. And, you know, playing with a new group of guys, new high-level guys. Most of these guys came from another high major school. So I just know like there's a chance to show that I can compete with anybody and just play the same way, play discipline, just be myself.
Yeah. I talked to Jermaine Marshall right after Bucky was hired, and he told me that y'all's practices were harder than the games. Do you agree with that?
Yes, for sure. So some of the guys think that we practice pretty hard. Like we done a couple drills, but I'll be telling them like this is just nothing. Like like this is nothing. Like it'll ramp up once we start playing fives, and we have 10 people. We'll start doing more drills and stuff like that. So practice is for sure harder than the game, and that's what makes the game easier, because like in game, like we're playing so fast in practice, we don't have no subs. So like it's just 5-on-5 and just getting in good shape. So in the game, you got coach plays like a lot, because you tend to get tired. So you bring a new set in, and they play the same way. That's why coach usually has like one of the top scoring bench points in the country. It's because like the bench can come in and have the same impact as the starters, and that's what it's about. Like in practice, that's why you get after it. You play hard. You dive on the floor. Like you have a couple bloody noses. Like just whatever. Just getting after it.
Absolutely, and A&M fans are going to appreciate that effort. I want to talk about a little bit more about practice. A lot of your matchups are with Jakari Lane from North Alabama and Marcus Hill from NC State. Tell me a little bit more about those guys and what it's like competing against them every day and how y'all make each other better.
No, Jakari, my guy. Marcus, my guy too. Now they're really good players, like really tough guards, really quick, especially Jakari. He's a quick down here guard, so like he's really good. And I played him this year at North Alabama, and he was a tough matchup.
Yeah.
So he's been a pretty good guard to match up with, compete with every day in practice. And Marcus, he's more of a bigger guard, likes to get downhill too, very aggressive guard. So it's like two different type of guards, because you got Jakari, who's more on a twitchy, quick, shifty. You got Marcus, more of a downhill, aggressive type guard. So you get the feel of like guarding both of those, like you get two different matchups. So it's been fun, like competing against those guys.
Yeah, that's good to hear. A lot of new faces for A&M fans to learn. Is there a guy that's really stood out to you at practice? Maybe it's one of the two you mentioned, or just someone that you get to play with your 4-on-4 team that you're like really impressed with.
I'm impressed with everybody so far. Like the way these guys can shoot the ball is really good. Like really good. McKenzie, for his size, for him being 6'9", he can shoot the ball extremely well. Ryland can shoot the ball extremely well. Marcus can shoot the ball. Jakari, like we have guys that can really shoot the ball really well, and that's one thing that I like.
Yeah, I think that was like the biggest shock for me coming to practice is normally in the A&M teams of old, I'm not used to seeing someone 6'11" or 6'9" shoot threes.
Yeah.
The way they all have guys like Zach Clements and Jamie Vincent and McKenzie who can shoot it like that. And I know Bucky talks about how the way y'all play is so exciting. And in years past, the teams have been good, but the style hasn't exactly been the most exciting. But when Reed Arena is packed and that crowd's energy is going crazy, y'all love to feed off of that. And how excited are you to like get in there, play exciting basketball, but also winning basketball and have those fans going crazy?
No, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to is when we get the crowd and they get down there and they get packed out and we get the press and teams turn the ball over. Then like every single play you see a three or a dunk. It's just something that's exciting, which Coach Bucky preaches. Like he want to play fast, he want to play exciting, and he want to play a style that wins. So what you're going to see is like you're going to see guys picking up. You're going to see transition threes. You're going to see those type of things. You're going to see dunks. You're going to see all types of stuff. So like you get a mixture of it all, not just one thing. So like when you come to the game, you're bound to have a good exciting game versus anybody. Plus it's the SEC, so everybody you're playing every night is a real game. So you get an exciting game every single night.
Yeah.
So.
And I know we cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to celebration when you score, or is there not enough time to because y'all are picking up immediately?
Coach don't like us celebrating. We cannot celebrate unless we have a foul and one or 3 and 1. If not, you got to get straight to it. So we usually don't have enough time to celebrate. I mean, a couple guys from Samford celebrated. He didn't like that. So we just not going to celebrate. He was just going to get straight to it, no emotion. So he preaches no emotion. He really don't like emotion, but if it's an and 1, he'll let it.
There we go. We gotta let something slide. You mentioned before this that team chemistry. This is the first time in a while where it's a lot of new guys coming together. Normally, you've got like 80, 60% of a team coming back, but this is a new spot for even a guy like Chris McDermott to be in, and for you to be in where it's a lot of new pieces. You mentioned that y'all are really childish. Y'all are having a lot of fun, like hanging out off the court. Tell me about building that team chemistry off the court.
Building that team, like that's what I think that's the most important thing, getting to learn each other off the court, which helps on the court because you get to talk to people. You get to learn how you can talk to people, what you can say to people on and off the court. So like us hanging out like off the court, just laughing, joking, going places, just hanging out as a team, it builds the chemistry like a lot because like at that point you get the trust out of people. Like, because like if you don't really talk to a guy, you're not on the court. For example, if you talk to somebody off the court, like a live, y'all hang out on the court, y'all will have like a tight bond. Y'all can have a communication. You can tell this person this, and that, and know how they'll react. But if off the court, if y'all don't say nothing to each other, y'all just come in and go to practice, then you're going to be less hesitant to say something to that person. That's why I just think it's so important, like off the court bond. It builds on court chemistry.
100%.
Sure.
You mentioned hanging out together. Do you have like a favorite place you found to eat in town? I know that's big when you go to a new city. You got to find your favorite restaurant. Do you have one yet?
Favorite restaurant so far? The restaurant I gotta say Pluckers.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a real good one.
I like Pluckers. I went there. I went there a couple times to watch the games at the finals. I like Pop Stroke too.
Yeah.
Pop Stroke pretty good. I like the burgers. Yeah, we went there to watch the finals too.
Good. It's good to hear that you're getting adjusted to this new city, and we're super excited to have you at Texas A&M. Thank you for coming in, Josh.
Sir.
That is
Appreciate
Josh
it.
Holloway, Texas A&M guard. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Texas Aggies United on TexAgs, sponsored by the 12th Man Foundation. We will see.
And that's Luke Evangelist in his interview with Josh Holloway. We'll hit a break, and we'll hear more from Luke on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Schulers. Luke Evangelist, what is this?
That was well worth putting on the headphones for that. That is the Love Island theme song.
Your favorite show.
Yeah, thank you.
I understand.
Thank you to everyone at the Zone for making that happen. That was awesome.
Yeah, they're happy to do so. I picked that song just for you, Luke. That's your favorite show. Before we talk to Luke a little bit about some breaking Aggie basketball news over the break, we're going to go over to Ava Davis in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. She has some breaking volleyball preseason news. Ava?
Yes. Texas A&M's volleyball Twitter just tweeted that the Aggies are now ranked 3rd on the SEC coaches poll. They also had 2 athletes named on the preseason All-SEC team, Logan Lednicki and Afena Casapala. This is Logan's 3rd straight year to be on the preseason All-SEC honor and Afena's 2nd year.
Yeah, awesome. Again, that program deserves all that hype it's getting. They're going to be a wagon come this fall, so that's going to be exciting. So, Luke, I know coaching announcement made for Aggie basketball during the break, so just fill me in a little bit on that.
Yeah, so A&M basketball just announced the official hiring of Dave Good as the 5th and final assistant coach on that staff. So if you've been keeping track at home, that's now Frank Haith, TJ Cleveland, Mitch Cole, Kyle Keller, and now Dave Good as the 5 assistants on Bucky McMillan's first staff. Good has been with McMillan all the way since 2015 when they were at Mountain Brook High School. He was the director of player personnel for him at Samford. So another addition, you've got guys bringing in SEC experience. You've got 2 guys bringing in A&M specific experience, and then Dave Good as your final assistant, bringing in that Bucky McMillan continuity experience to that staff.
I was about to ask you, it feels like there's a lot of guys that have been with Bucky forever coming to coach with him here. So what benefit do you think, or what advantage does that give him, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's crucial because when you're playing such a unique style of basketball, you need that continuity. And A&M fans kind of experienced that in a different sense over the last couple of years with just having guys be here for 3 and 4 years and a coaching staff that was completely here for all 6 years. You start to do things more efficiently and get better in your process when you've been with someone for longer. So it's not just bringing guys over like Josh Holloway or Warren Fitzpatrick or Neb Exantis, these guys who are either players or support staff that have been with him from Samford, bringing over an assistant coach who's been with him from not just the Samford years, but for the last decade is really huge to help teach that system in the way that they want to play. And also, it's kind of like another set of eyes for Bucky because he knows exactly what Bucky wants, so he can now be like a second Bucky McMillan on the floor in the same way that Mitch Cole can be and that Josh Holloway can be as well.
Absolutely. So you've talked to Josh Holloway. You've kind of gotten a feel for how things are going as a team kind of gets to work over off-season workouts and whatnot. So just what are some of your takeaways from those workouts, observations, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, the team is coming together from early June to now early July. There's definitely been a lot of progress. They've, as I mentioned in my article, like they're just slowly getting guys trickling in from whether they had to move from another country or they had to move from their previous college. It's not the same as in years past where like everybody was already on campus. They've had to move all these guys in. And so they weren't able to hit the ground running, but now they've got everyone in town. Everyone except Federico. Federico has started practicing, and there's definitely been a lot of progress I can see from what I've seen from my first practice that I saw to now the most recent one. They're just getting more comfortable learning the drills. Instead of, okay, we got to think and process, where do I go next in this drill? It's now there is no more thinking, they're just playing. And that's the thing that Josh Holloway talked about a lot was he is like another coach out there teaching them, okay, here's what we need to do in this drill. Here's the way coach wants it done. Now they're not really teaching. They've already kind of got that down and they're able to add more complex things. So now they're working a lot more on actual in-game strategic things as opposed to just learning like the warm-up drills as they had to come in and start over in early June and do that.
We're going to hit a break here, Luke. Stick around for one more segment. On the other side, we'll talk a little bit more about Buckyball. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Schulers. Back in on TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner Jewelers. Nick Savage filling in for David Nuno here inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Bronny will be in the host chair tomorrow. Luke and Matthew on Thursday. Bronny again on Friday. Luke's in here with me right now. We're talking a little Aggie basketball. And we had Mark French on the show yesterday, Luke, and hearing him talk about how Bucky's system is a lot more, would you say, player-friendly? Because it's basically, you better have a quick think quickly and don't hesitate, right? Do I got that?
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty much what it looks like.
There is a necessity for, can we shoot three-pointers as many times as possible? And instead of now, how many times can we rebound that shot? It's just, we need to take more shots than the other team. And it's weird because both systems that, A&M fans have watched over the last couple of years and that are going to watch, both have the same MO, and that's they want more possessions than their opponent, but they do it in very different ways. So
polar opposite ways.
Yeah, polar opposite ways was, okay, we can't really shoot the ball, so let's just grab as many offensive rebounds as possible. Bucky's is, we're going to be the fastest team on both ends of the floor to speed you up to cause turnovers, to then give our team more shots at the basket. So they're going to be taking as many shots as they can, sometimes super quick in a possession. And if that's something that bothers you, then you may not like watching Buckyball, but I have a feeling that this is going to be so jarring and opposite from what A&M fans have been used to seeing that the style is going to be so fun to watch, and it's even more fun to play in it because, let's be honest, who doesn't want to run up and down the floor, shoot threes, dunk the ball, get the crowd going? It's just a totally more fun style to play in, and you've been seeing that with the way they've been able to recruit. They've been getting players that you normally wouldn't get here, like a Mackenzie Mbako, who want to be in that system because it's pro-ready and it's going to put a lot of great stuff on film for him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate your two segments talking a little Aggie basketball, and that'll do it for TexAgs Live today. Thank you to everyone who joined us. OB's back, Jamie McCoy, Jonathan Hutton, Caroline Fenton as well. Ava Davis over in the News and Social Center. Thank you very much. And Cade Bickham directing the show today. So appreciate your help. Again, Bronny in the host chair tomorrow. And on the other side of this break, the Louis Bellina Show. So keep it right here on the Zone 1150. Thanks so much for watching. This has been TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers.